So here now, which pair of factors I need now to write? I have to put -5 and -6 and +5. So these are now the two factors that I have to use them. -6 and +5. Now, after I finish, so the two factors are -6 and +5. Now, the second step, I want you now to rewrite this trinomial into two new factored numbers. It will be 2m². Then -m. As I told you before, you can write it in two factored number, which is -6 plus 5. -6 plus 5. Here you have to distribute the m2 here and here. Then let's continue writing it as -15. So I will write, or I wrote now -m as -6m plus 5m. Then after I finish, I have now to say, or to regrouping it into two brackets. Let's do the first one here. And then the second one. This is now what I do. I put them into two, or divide them into two brackets. Then after that, here, look at the first circle here, the purple circle. We have 2m² minus 6m. So I want you now to find the GCF for the first purple circle and the GCF for the second purple circle. Now let's go to talk about 2m² minus 6m. So let's find the GCF here. Let's write the two factors here as 2m² and 6m. Then after that, this 2m², it can be written, or it can be factored as 2mm. And 6m here, it can be 3 times 2 times m. So for the first trinomial, for the first polynomial here, I can now write the GCF as 2m. So let's have a 2m as a common factor. Then after that, if you have, or if you take a 2m as a common factor, look at the first one. Which factor or which monomial will be remain? I have only m. And look at the second one. Now, since the sign here is minus, so I have to put minus 3. This is for the first one. After I divide them into two purple circles, I look at the first one. I wrote the GCF as 2m times then m minus 3. And then I will look at the second bracket. We have 5m minus 15. So this one, I will write a 5m here and 15 here, which is 5 times m, and down we have 5 times 3. As we discussed before, let's find the common factor, and the common factor here is 5. So this, since now the common factor here is 5, come back now to rewrite it. Look at the first one. If we remove the 5 from here, which monomial will be remain? We have m. And if you then minus, and if you remove the 15 from here, what will be remain? We'll have only 3. This is now the second step. The third step. I didn't finish. Then after that, I have to take these two new factors like this. Then now let's find the new GCF for them. We have a 2m and times m minus 3, and down we have 5 times m minus 3. So the common factor here is m minus 3. So I will say m minus 3 times, if you remove m minus 3 from up, you will have only 2m plus a5. So this is a way how can I factorize expression ax squared plus bx plus c. Now the last thing I want to tell you about it, that there's a special case for multiplying without using the table or the FOIL or the distributive property. This case, or this special case, is that if you have now two factors and you want to multiply them, but the first one you have a x minus 5 times x minus 5, and the first one, the second one, you have x minus 5 times x plus 5. In this special case here, as we see, we have the same variable here, x, and the same number 5, 5. So here now we don't have x minus 5 times x plus 3 different numbers or different variable. We have the same term, x, 5, 5. Now look at them. Here we have x minus 5 times x minus 5. They are repeated without using the table or the FOIL or the distributive. What I have to do, since they have the different sign, I just put the square, the perfect square of the first term, which is x squared. Then the perfect square of the last term, which is 25. 5 squared, 25. And the first term, it's x squared. Then what is the sign here? The sign here is minus. I will put this minus sign here. Then this minus sign, I will multiply 2 times the first term and the second term, which is 2 times 5, 10 times x, 10x. So it can be written as negative 10x. And then here, as we say, it must be positive 25. So here, if you have two, this is a special case. If you have two factors, they have the same exponents, the same variable x, and the same number 5, you just put the square of the first term and negative 5 times negative 5, which is positive 25. This is the last term. And between them, you have to say, this is a negative sign. You must put them. Then 2 times x times 5, which is 10x. So this is a way how can we multiply them. The second case here, also we have the same, but here we have, yes, x, we have the same variable with the same number, but the thing here that we have a different sign. One is negative and one is the plus. In this case, you put the square of the first variable and the square of the second variable and the sign between them is like you multiply minus or negative time positive. If you multiply negative time positive, the answer is negative. So you can write it as x squared minus 25. This will be now a special case from the multiplying.